Okay, let's unpack this. For decades, Antarctica has kind of stood in our minds as this remote, unchanging symbol.
It's just this giant, permanent ice block at the bottom of the world.
Exactly. Just vast, icy, maybe a bit immune to everything else going on. But new research is painting a very different picture.
Yeah, incredibly dynamic. And frankly, quite alarming is the word that keeps coming up.
So today we're diving into these recent findings. They show Antarctica is undergoing what scientists are calling abrupt changes.
Potentially crossing critical climate tipping points.
With really far-reaching global consequences for all of us.
And what's really key here is this new study just came out, August 2025, in Nature. Nerily Abram is the lead author.
Right.
And it pulls together this really comprehensive picture of what's actually happening down there.
And it's getting noticed, right? I saw it mentioned by Reuters, CBS News.
Grist, Science Alert, yeah. It's making waves. So our mission here in this deep dive is to explore what these scientists are really saying.
Try to separate the facts from maybe some of the sensational headlines.
Exactly. And understand why what happens way down there matters to everyone, everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. We've gathered your sources, looked at the questions coming in, and honestly, some of this was eye-opening, even for us. So we're here to guide you through the most important bits, the key takeaways, help you grasp the implications right alongside us.
Let's do it.
So let's start with this idea of abrupt changes. That sounds pretty dramatic. When scientists talk about a regime shift for Antarctica, it implies something fundamental, doesn't it? Not just gradual.
Yeah, it sounds permanent, almost.
When you were digging into these sources, what really jumped out at you as illustrating this? What piece of evidence made you go, whoa?
Well, regime shift is the key term. It means Antarctica is literally moving from one kind of stable state to another. It's fundamentally altering its environmental conditions.
It's not just a small adjustment.
No, not a tweak. It's a transformation. The lead author, Nerily Abram, she put it like this. We're seeing a whole range of abrupt and surprising changes, but these aren't happening in isolation.
The interconnectedness.
Right. She emphasizes that when one part changes, it creates these knock-on effects that actually make the changes worse in other parts of the system.
So it snowballs, basically.
Pretty much. This isn't just about gradual warming anymore. These are interconnected shifts, and they seem to be happening much faster than we thought.
Okay. A whole new state of being for the continent. Yeah, that's significant. And a big driver seems to be the sea ice loss, right? The sources mentioned it's rapid, almost sudden. Can you maybe paint a picture of how dramatic that's been?
Oh, absolutely. The sources are clear. It's unprecedented. Since about 2014, Antarctic sea ice has seen this traumatic and precipitous decline.
Precipitous, wow.
Yeah, levels not seen in centuries. And get this, just to give you a sense of scale, the loss of winter sea ice around Antarctica in the last decade happened 4.4 times faster than in the Arctic.
4 times faster.
Yeah, so think about it. Antarctica basically lost in 1 decade what the Arctic lost over the last 46 years.
That's staggering, because usually you hear all the alarm bells about the Arctic sea ice.
Exactly. And this isn't just a record low. The scientists are saying it indicates a new state of dramatic sea ice loss. It's a shift.
Okay, so beyond just the ice disappearing, what's the big concern? What does the shrinking sea ice actually do once it's gone? Why is that so worrying?
Well, the big worry is this climatic feedback loop it triggers. You have to think of sea ice as Earth's natural reflector shield down there.
Because it's white and bright.
Exactly. It reflects a huge amount of the sun's energy back into space, which helps keep the whole region cool. But when that ice vanishes...
You get the dark ocean underneath.
Right. And dark ocean absorbs the sun's energy instead of reflecting it. So less reflectivity means more warming, which then melts more sea ice.
And the cycle just keeps going, getting faster.
It accelerates. It's like taking off a white coat on a sunny day and putting on a black one. The whole region gets hotter faster. That's why they call it self-perpetuating.
Self-perpetuating. Okay, so if it feeds itself like that, does that mean these changes, like the sea ice loss, are irreversible? Even if, hypothetically, we manage to stabilize global temperatures somehow, that sounds pretty grim.
That's a really crucial point the study highlights, and it's where Antarctica seems different from the Arctic.
How so?
Well, models predict that if the global climate stabilized, Arctic sea ice would likely stabilize too. It would respond relatively quickly.
Okay.
But for Antarctica, the models show something different. When you stabilize the climate in these simulations and let them run for hundreds of years, Antarctic sea ice still continues to decline.
It just keeps going. Why?
Because the Southern Ocean, the ocean around Antarctica, has already absorbed so much extra heat from the atmosphere, and it continues to take up more heat. This leads to what the scientists are calling, well, grimly, century to millennia scale commitments for irreversible sea ice loss.
Wow. So commitment means it's locked in.
Basically, yeah. In simple terms, even if we hit net zero emissions tomorrow, the warming already soaked up by the Southern Ocean guarantees the sea ice loss will continue for hundreds, maybe thousands of years.
So the process is already baked in for the long haul.
That seems to be the message, yeah.
That is a stark difference from the Arctic, and really sobering. So this warming ocean is like a freight train, just driving continuous loss. How does that then connect to the huge ice sheets sitting on the continent?
Right. This is where that interconnectedness really becomes clear. These massive ice sheets, the land-based ice, they're like these incredibly slow-moving glaciers, right? And they're sort of held in place or buttressed by floating ice shelves. These shelves act like a giant cork in a bottle, slowing the flow of the land ice into the ocean.
Okay, so the shelves are the brakes.
Kind of, yeah. And normally, the sea ice out in front acts like a shield for those shelves. It absorbs wave energy that would otherwise smash against them. Yeah. But when the sea ice disappears, those protective ice shelves are left much more exposed to warmer ocean waters melting them from below, and to more wave action breaking them up.
So the shield is gone, and the brakes are getting worn down by warm water and waves.
Exactly. And as Matthew England, one of the co-authors, explains, when we melt ice shelves, they have a buttressing effect. So we get an enhanced flow of ice sheets into the ocean. Without that buttressing, the cork is effectively gone or weakened.
And the land ice slides faster into the sea.
Much faster. And that contributes directly to global sea level rise.
Right. So losing the sea ice isn't just bad on its own. It weakens the defenses for the really big players, the land ice sheets. And these sheets, especially West Antarctica, they hold a truly mind-boggling amount of water. What are we talking about if they keep melting?
The implications are, well, they're global, potentially catastrophic. The West Antarctic Ice Sheet alone, just that one part, holds enough ice to raise global sea levels by somewhere between 3 and 5 meters.
3 to 5 meters, that's like 10 to 16 feet.
Yeah. And some sources are suggesting that the tipping point for unstoppable ice loss from West Antarctica might be crossed even under the most optimistic emission reduction scenarios.
Meaning, even if we do everything right, starting now.
That's the fear. That its complete collapse might already be locked in. Now, the full process would still take centuries, maybe millennia, to play out entirely.
It's still locked in.
Locked in. And that kind of multi-meter sea level rise, it obviously threatens coastal cities everywhere. Matthew England warned it could lead to global political instability that will dwarf what we're seeing right now.
Multi-meter sea level rise. I mean, you're right. That's not just a number. That redraws the map of the world. It's almost hard to comprehend.
It is.
And speaking of these big players, we always hear about the Thwaites Glacier, the so-called Doomsday Glacier. Is it still the main poster child for this kind of collapse, or are other areas now just as concerning?
Oh, Thwaites is definitely still a major focus, and it really earns that Doomsday nickname, unfortunately.
Why is it so vulnerable?
It's just inherently unstable because of the way the bedrock slopes underneath it. And recent discoveries show warm saltwater getting much further underneath it than previously thought, especially during high tides.
So it's melting faster from below.
Exactly, melting from the bottom up, which is really bad news for stability. The International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration, this big research effort, they estimate it could collapse completely within maybe 200 years.
And that alone would raise sea levels
by over 2 feet globally, just Thwaites. So yes, it's still very much a poster child, really highlighting the increasing instability across that whole West Antarctic region.
Okay, so we've got this cascade. Vanishing sea ice, weakening ice shelves, huge land ice sheets, maybe already committed to melting. It feels like the continent's outer defenses are crumbling.
Yeah.
But what about the deep ocean? The currents around Antarctica, are they affected too?
They are absolutely not immune, no. This is another really critical piece, the Antarctic Overturning Circulation, or AOC.
Okay, what's that?
Think of it as the planet's deep sea conveyor belt, specifically the southern part. It's a huge system of ocean currents that plays a massive role in regulating Earth's climate.
How does it do that?
It distributes heat around the globe and absorbs a lot of CO2 from the atmosphere. And the engine for it, partly, is sea ice formation. When sea ice forms, it leaves the salt behind in the water.
Right, making the water saltier.
And colder, which makes it really dense. So this cold, salty, dense water sinks to the ocean floor and drives this massive circulation pattern.
Okay, so sea ice formation powers the engine. But what happens when ice shelves melt?
That's the problem. When the ice shelves melt, they release huge amounts of fresh water into the ocean surface layers. This fresh water dilutes that cold, salty water, making it less dense.
So it doesn't sink as easily.
Exactly. It weakens the engine. It slows the whole circulation down.
So melting ice isn't just adding water volume, it's messing with the ocean's internal engine. What are the immediate effects of that engine trouble? For weather or...
Well, this slowdown is expected to really pick up pace this century. Maybe even slow down at twice the rate of the Atlantic circulation, the AMOC, which gets more headlines.
Since the rate?
Yeah. One study even predicted this Antarctic current could slow to less than half its current speed by 2050 if we don't cut emissions drastically.
Wow.
And this creates another amplifying feedback loop. If the circulation slows, less cold water moves away from Antarctica. So more warm water can stay near the continent, get underneath those ice shelves.
And accelerate the melt even further. It all connects back.
It all connects back. It's a tightly linked system.
Okay, what are the bigger, maybe global consequences if this Antarctic overturning circulation slows down significantly? It sounds like it would affect more than just Antarctica itself.
Profoundly, yeah. Think of the AOC as the planet's deep sea air purifier and also its nutrient delivery system.
How so?
If it slows, it means less carbon dioxide gets pulled from the atmosphere down into the deep ocean, so global warming could speed up. That's one hit. And second, this circulation normally brings nutrient-rich deep water up towards the surface further north. If it slows, those crucial nutrients get trapped near the seafloor.
Which would affect marine life.
Massively. It basically starves the base of the entire oceanic food web, especially phytoplankton, these tiny plants that form the foundation of everything and, by the way, do about half the photosynthesis on Earth, sequestering huge amounts of carbon.
So you're hitting the climate regulation and the fundamental food source for the oceans.
It's a fundamental disruption to how the planet breathes and how it feeds itself, essentially.
Okay, so it's not just the ice we see, it's the hidden depths, too, affecting the very base of life. Speaking of life, what about Antarctica's actual wildlife? The penguins, the seals, what are these abrupt changes doing to them?
Yeah, the biological systems are also seeing these sudden shifts, and it's heartbreaking, frankly. A really stark example is the emperor penguins.
What's happening with them?
They need stable sea ice, specifically land-fast ice that's stuck to the shore to form their breeding colonies. The chicks need that stable platform until they grow their waterproof feathers and are ready to swim.
Right.
But in 2022, there was record low sea ice. And in some areas, the ice broke up way too early, before the chicks were ready. The studies describe catastrophic breeding failures. Thousands of chicks likely drowned or froze.
Oh, that's awful. Is that widespread?
Scientists are seeing these kinds of events right around the Antarctic continent now. It's not just one colony. And beyond penguins, whole ecosystems on land and sea are being reshaped by the warming and the unreliable ice. It threatens the whole delicate balance.
It really drives home how immediate the impacts are when you see it affecting iconic species like that. Okay, so with all this talk of tipping points and irreversible change, there was one headline I saw from our sources, I think it was Futurism, that declared the climate officially unrecoverable.
That sounds incredibly final. What's the scientific take on a claim like that? Yeah, that headline is a good example of something that's, let's say, attention-grabbing, but it does kind of misrepresent the full picture.
How so?
While the research does confirm that, yes, certain regional climate systems in Antarctica might have passed a tipping point.
Like the sea ice commitment you mentioned.
Exactly. And that some effects, like that long-term sea ice loss, are now pretty much guaranteed to happen over centuries, regardless of what we do now. That applies specifically to those Antarctic systems. It definitely does not mean the entire global climate is officially unrecoverable.
Okay.
And crucially, it doesn't mean that efforts to cut emissions are futile. Far from it.
Right. That's a critical distinction. So it's not a signal to just give up. It's more like a call to action, but with an even greater sense of urgency.
Absolutely. Critical urgency, yes.
Yeah.
The study's core message is crystal clear. Rapid and deep cuts to greenhouse gas emissions are not just important, they are the only realistic shot we have at minimizing these huge risks.
So everything we do still matters.
Every bit matters. Matthew England stresses this. Every fraction of a degree of warming that we can save stacks the odds of avoiding these catastrophic changes. Even with some changes locked in, our actions right now directly determine how bad things get later.
Okay.
And it also means that alongside cutting emissions, we absolutely need adaptation and resilience planning. We have to prepare for the changes that are already unavoidable or are already committed to happening down the line.
Right. Mitigation and adaptation together.
They're essential now.
Okay. So if we try to connect all these threads, pull it together, what's the big picture takeaway?
The big picture is that Antarctica is no longer this passive, frozen giant we maybe thought it was. It's awake. It's a continent undergoing rapid, deeply interconnected changes, from its sea ice shield to its massive ice sheets to those vital deep ocean currents.
And these aren't just local Antarctic problems.
No, not at all. These are global resets. They have direct consequences for sea levels worldwide, for marine ecosystems everywhere, and even for the stability of the planet's whole climate regulation system. What happens in Antarctica doesn't stay in Antarctica.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit counterintuitive. We've heard that some changes are already locked in, right? They'll continue for centuries no matter what.
Yes, that's the sobering part.
And this is crucial. The scientists are incredibly clear. Every single fraction of a degree of warming we can prevent still improves our odds. It makes triggering the absolute worst-case scenarios less likely.
Exactly. It's not an all-or-nothing situation.
Which means our actions, especially those deep cuts in greenhouse gases, plus robust planning for adaptation, they're more critical now than they have ever been.
Yeah.
It's not a reason to throw up our hands. It's a call to really understand what's at stake and to act.
It really is, and it leads to a pretty profound question, maybe for you, our listener, to reflect on. Given these accelerating changes in Antarctica, given the truly global stakes, what do you think our generation's legacy will be? How will we be remembered? Will it be for understanding the danger and actually acting decisively, or will we just be remembered for watching this incredible dramatic transformation unfold?
That is definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Antarctica's abrupt awakening.